For nearly a decade here on this show, Heroscape has been the game of choice for fantasy combat. But with Age of Sigmar being released earlier this summer, it's coming up to challenge that game for the title of Best Fantasy Game here on this episode of the Tabletop Battlefield. Welcome to the official Christmas, non-Christmas-ish, one-time-a-year Tabletop Battlefield Special here. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield, the creator of the Army Showcase, and the creator of the Tabletop Miniatures franchise, Legends of Caladagia. We'll talk a bit more about that here in a bit. And Ryan's over here making fun of me counting off all my credentials. In just a moment here, you're going to hear Ryan talking. He is my other former, we're still co-hosting the show. The show's still going on. Once a year still makes it a regular show, and we're actually, because of that, we're still technically, I think, the longest running, regularly produced tabletop game podcast in history right now at 9 years. It'll be, actually, in January, it'll be 9 years. But Ryan's been on the show, I think it's episode 8, so he's co-host number 3, I believe.
Nice.
But regardless, like I said, we're going to be talking about Age of Sigmar versus Heroscape a little bit later. But first, let's see what we've been doing. So Ryan, what have you been up to for the past year?
This past year, woo! Let me tell you, and you're going to hear that pop in the mic.
Thanks.
From the beginning of last year, well, if any of you watched last year's Christmas episode, I slammed down a fully ready script for Tales of Valhalla Season 1 based off the Heroscape universe. And so from starting January this year until basically the beginning of November, I've been doing stop motion, working with voice actors, doing more stop motion, doing editing, special effects, just everything I can to get this first season done. And for me, it really it started out as being like a project just to help enhance my skills for filmmaking or whatever. It's like something I've really never done before. And who knows, it could turn into a long-running series, but right now my goal is just 3 seasons, and this is the first season. And it's, for me, I wrote the script for everything to be really simple, so I didn't have to worry about too many extravagant, stop motion stuff or too many extravagant special effects, but it's still fun. You get to develop, you get to see some characters that are in the Heroscape universe, but they have never really been developed before, as far as like names, characters, personalities, and it was really fun to like give these guys an identity and just to see how they make their way and what the Heroscape universe is, at least as far as my mind is concerned. Now, we're going to explain that in a little bit, but yeah. So, I've been working my tail off doing that, and it's been exhilarating and tiring all at the same time, because I know that my health still isn't 100%, and there was a couple times to where I'd being close to going to ER, into the hospital. I'm like, I don't care. I'm taking my computer, all my script stuff, I'm taking it with me, and I'm working even if I'm in the hospital bed. I'm just so thrilled that I was just able to get everything complete, and even then some. I added extra scenes and stuff, and I was able to do a little bit of finishing touches on the first few weeks of stop motion. Weren't that great. It's like the camera was shaky, everything was just it was awful. So I was able to redo those scenes for the first episode. So got everything done and planning from today, the day of this recording. I'm going to be releasing the first episode. It's a 10-episode season, but the first episode is going to be released tomorrow, December 7th. And by the time this show goes out, I think we'll be 3 or 4 episodes in. So I'll only be halfway through the season, plenty of time to jump on board to Tales of Valhalla YouTube site if you want to check it out and see all the stop-motion Heroscape action, because there really isn't any Heroscape stop-motion stuff that I've seen on the internet. So it's fun breaking ground in that area, and just to see how far I can go before I get sued by Wizards of the Coast. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, so that's what's been going on this year. Just trying to do my best to keep my life going and just keep on moving forward, even if I don't feel as good. So that's that.
And you brought a clip along for us to roll here and take a look at, right?
Yes, we did. We're going to roll that in a second?
Roll it right now.
Okay, well, let me explain first before we roll it.
Oh, before we roll it?
Yep.
Ignore my own edit cut here. Let Ryan do it. Go ahead.
No, let me. In this clip, it's a very special scene. And it's one of the first scenes I actually wrote for the script in the season. Didn't realize where it was going to be until I actually did the final draft of the script. And one reason why it's really special is because the three characters that are in the scene are voiced by me, Jason, Sarah, and Kyle, who are basically a part of the Tabletop core family of this. So it was great to have all four of us in one scene, just to give an honorary tribute to the Tabletop Battlefield, in a subtle sense. Just because I know that if I would have never gotten involved in the show, I mean, Tales of Valhalla wouldn't be here today. So in this scene, we have two Roman soldiers in the middle of the desert, and Jason's character is basically ranting, surprise, surprise, and my character is kind of just like, okay, we just being calm here, or whatever. But it gets to the peak point to where Jason's character can't take it anymore and tells me to go take a nap. And so let's roll it then. Let's roll it from that point and see what happens in that scene.
Our captain told us to...
And he is not here! Come on, live a little!
All right, if you say so.
Well, that is better, but I have to use the bathroom. Oh well, if something worth seeing passes by in the next 60 seconds, may lightning strike me down. Ha! Why am I hearing thunder right now?
Okay, so what do you think of that scene, Jason?
It's enjoyable, I guess. It's me and being my character on this show, pretty much. So yeah, it's fun doing it. I had a lot of fun doing it. Even I kept pronouncing your character's name wrong.
Yeah, Light Folly.
Yes.
Yeah, we might show those clips sometime in the future because I have them saved. But yeah, it was fun to voice act Jason in that scene because it took like 4 or 5 tries to get Jason to shout. I mean, the way I wanted him to, and when he did, it was the most beautiful. It was like through his whole lines. I'm just like I'm almost crying because it's just so beautiful, for that scene. So that scene, I don't know if I said it before, but it is for episode 10. The final episode in the series. So when this show comes out, it still won't be released. It won't probably be released for another 4 or 5 weeks from when the show gets released. So plenty of time. Go to Tales of Valhalla YouTube website or check us out on Tales of Valhalla Facebook page as well.
And I'll put those links in the show notes of the YouTube video as well as on tabletopbattlefield.com.
For sure.
All right. Well, for me, what's it been now? 5 years ago is when I launched the Kaladeshi universe with Legends of Kaladeshi, a space combat miniatures game. So I've been working on that for years from now. It's been available for sale over at Kaladeshi.com. Link will be in the show notes. But this year the big thing was releasing Kaladeshi Fleet Commander, which is a step above what Legends of Kaladeshi was. Legends of Kaladeshi is a squadron game Fleet Commander is the entire planetary invasion, where you've got the Sirakari player invading the planet, Eragul's defending it. And this is a board game. It's not a miniatures game, but it's a board game. What kind of makes it really cool is it's asymmetrical victory conditions. So the Eragul and the Sirakari have vastly different tactics they have to deploy. And it's actually, well, I think it's a lot of fun. And other people have found it to be a lot of fun. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, like I said, it's caladagia.com. It's available for sale now, and the link will be in the show notes. But with
Shameless self-promotion.
Yeah, so the shameless self-promotion is out of the way. Why don't I going to talk a little bit about some of the games I played a lot this year and some that I didn't play a lot, and then we'll get into our main topic of Age of Sigmar versus Heroscape. The two games that I probably played the most this year was one, Kyle and I continued with our War Machine High Command, very frequently playing that game. If you haven't seen it, it is a strategic card game based on the War Machine universe. So if you're familiar with the miniatures game, all the card versions have very similar powers and the same 4 base factions. Plus, I believe there's now a Hordes versions for the guys from the Hordes section of the universe are in it. It's a fantastic card game. It kind of combines elements of Magic the Gathering with elements of games like Dominion, and it's a little bit of both, and it really is so much fun to play. Plus, it's one of those things where it's not collectible, so you just got to buy the sets, and you have everything you need to completely build decks. Second up, I played a lot of this year, was a game called Shadows over Brimstone. This is Flying Frog Productions, Dungeon Crawl, Wild West Cthulhu-themed board game. So it's one of those games where you can play a series of adventures, and each time you go through, you gain experience, you kill monsters, and you get more. Your hero levels up, gets more powers and more new weapons, things like that. So there's a little bit of a very light role-playing aspect to it. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely, if you like that dungeon crawl thing, the dungeon crawl theme to it, can certainly be a lot of fun. A lot of the missions kind of feel the same way because they're randomly generated dungeons where you got to go through so many rooms to find, set number of what are called clues, and then you usually have a big boss battle. So that can get a little bit repetitive, but there are other missions out there people have created that are not that, and they're pretty cool. There's some in the rule book that are not quite like that. So the game does have a lot of variety to it. If you don't like the whole just random dungeon explore every time, even though the story is different in what you're doing, the game kind of plays out the exact same way because it's just the way you complete the mission is pretty much the same way. Just what you're trying to complete varies from time to time. The third game that we've been playing a lot recently is Kingdom Death. This was one of the big Kickstarters about 4 years ago, and it got really, really delayed to the point where people were almost convinced it would never, ever show up. And apparently about 2 months ago, my friend finally got his copy in from literally about, I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 years ago it was on Kickstarter.
Wow.
This is an interesting game. It's the most epic push your luck game you'll ever play, where obviously a push your luck game is pretty much you keep doing things again and again and again with, as you keep progressing there's more reward, but there's also a lot of greater risk. And the problem is the game eventually just screws you over. It's literally designed to kill you off in very horrific ways.
Sounds fun.
So in one aspect, it's super detailed, super rich, just disgustingly horror world. I mean, this is literally very violent world. The rulebook actually has a lot of nudity to it, and it's a bit misogynistic. Well, not bit. It's quite misogynistic because basically all the women are pretty much half-naked supermodels. So this is a very dark, very disgusting game in that regard. So if you don't like that, definitely stay away from it.
Kids, go away.
Yes,
for
it's not a
few
kids
months.
game
Yes.
for any even grasp to it. And even though it's like super fleshed out story-wise, a lot of it is kind of the same thing to where most events, not all of them, there's some really unique events in there, but most of them are you roll a d10. If you roll low, you pretty much die or get screwed over. If you roll high, you may get something good out of it, but you're less screwed over. So it's really just degrees of how screwed over you really are, and it's fighting, and there's a lot of doing the same stuff over and over again. So, I mean, it's cool in the sense that it's like this epic civilization building game. There's not really anything else out there quite like it, but I don't really like the fact that literally something's going to screw you over, and no matter what you do, eventually, I keep saying that because that's literally how the game is designed to kill you. You kill your characters, kill your civilization. I'm not joking. This is literally what the game's designed to do. you can't really truly win at it, and that I don't really like. And for me, it's kind of fun to play once, but it's not. I don't think it's something I play again and again and again, because it's literally masochistic to where it's basically you got to really enjoy getting yourself killed again and again and again to really enjoy playing this game.
It's good to be depressed.
Yeah,
all the time.
It's a very bizarre, dark, disgusting universe. So yes. The biggest thing, though, in terms of the games, probably what I didn't play this year is I have not played a single game of Warhammer 40,000. I haven't even bought any of the new Tau Empire stuff that came out. I'll probably get some of the new figures, but the biggest problem for my core group of gamers when it comes to Warhammer 40,000, we used to play it all the time. The guys I'm playing Kingdom of Death with and playing the Shadows over Brimstone, we used to play 40K for like 3 months straight. Then we played Warhammer Fantasy 3 months straight, and we may play 1 or 2 nights of some board game. It really has gotten to the point to where you can't just play a pickup game anymore. They've added so much stuff to it, so much crazy powerful units, powerful combos, and these called formations and things. You can't really just say bring 1,500 points or whatever it is and expect to have a fun game. You really got to sit down and talk with your opponent about what you're going to do, plan ahead. And I mean, you could do some awesome, really amazing scenarios with it. You could have a heck of a lot of fun playing Warhammer 40K, but it now just takes so much longer to prepare, to plan, decide what you're going to do. And whereas before you might be able to get 2 games in a 4-hour night, now you really can barely get 1 in, especially if it's kind of a larger size game. So it's still a fun game to play if you play it right. And for us, we just don't have the time to sit down and play it. And there's so much other stuff out there that's just so much fun that it's tough to devote hundreds of dollars to an army, hours to paint the miniatures. The miniatures are still fantastic, but they take longer to assemble, longer to paint. So it's a trade-off kind of a thing. But with that out of the way, let's dive into our main topic. Now this is going to be Heroscape, our reigning champion of fantasy miniature tabletop games, whatever you want to call it. And it's being challenged by Warhammer Fantasy Age of Sigmar. Actually, not Warhammer Fantasy, it's Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now, chances are you probably know what Age of Sigmar is, but earlier in July, Games Workshop literally rebooted the Warhammer Fantasy world. If you don't know by now, they blew the world up. Literally destroyed it. And they created an entirely new game with all 4 pages of rules, plus these things called data sheets, they're called War Scrolls. Data sheets is 40K. War Scrolls, which are the unit stats. There are unit stats, formations, things like that you can take. It's designed to be fairly simple playing, fast playing, and so I figured let's go ahead and try this game out because I haven't played it yet. We played a couple games of it, and we're going to compare it up to Heroscape and how this works here on the Tabletop Battlefield. We got a series of 8 different categories for different type aspects of the game, such as component quality, movement, tactics, combat tactics, stuff like that. And we had 5 points to assign to both games in a given category. Any given category, basically the 2 scores we assign each game has to add up to 5 points. Whichever game has the highest score between both of us at the end will pretty much be the title. So let's go ahead and run a few battle reports. Got 1 of Age of Sigmar and at least one of Heroscape, and we'll come back and do the actual rankings.
Here we go with our Age of Sigmar battle report. It's Ryan and his 75 points of orcs lined up here, getting ready to take on my 75 points of Seraphon. Let's get my banner guy standing up right there. Apparently won't stand up because Warhammer figures do that. But here are my 75 points of Seraphon, the new name for the lizard men because of trademark reasons. And we're fighting over the middle of the battlefield here where there's 3 command points. And pretty much at the end of each of our turns, we can check to see if we control the command point. And if we do, it's worth 1 point. And at the end of the game, whoever scored the most points will be the winner. And you also do get 1 point for each enemy war scroll that you do eliminate. Ryan has elected to take the first turn because he finished his deployment first. And first up is going to be his chariot. We're still learning this game, so we're kind of making things up as we go. I'm not going to lie.
It sounds like you're not too thrilled about all this. First warning shot.
Your orc archer boys into my engine of the gods.
Oh my goodness. I did not need to know that name. That just,
It does all sorts of weird stuff that involves blowing things up.
it scares the bejesus out of me now. And I'm an orc. Okay, 2 hit.
5 plus is the hit. What do you got? 2? Then the wound.
4 plus.
4 plus save. 1 off camera. 1 wound.
Yeah, you kind of just raced right into me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's an orc thing.
It is an orc thing, actually. It's actually quite characteristic of the orcs. Hey, Cyrus just rolled a 10 in the charge to get this guy, so we are running my Cyrus warriors in there to just beat the crap out of him, pretty much.
Okay, folks, here's how it is. But let it be known, in the first round, I did draw first blood. I just needed to say that, that's all.
He did kill 2 models in his retaliation combat over here with the chariot and my
I'm talking
Cyrus.
about that guy.
Oh, that guy. You did do that first. You did get a wound on him first.
Yes, I
didn't you?
did.
All right, so turn 2, we rolled off. I won the initiative, so I'm going to go ahead and do my actions first. And let's start with movement. And we were playing the run rule wrong. Just I was playing 8th edition fantasy, not Age of Sigmar. I can probably do that a lot in this one. Yay! They cause D6 wounds with each hit. So
Oh, no.
I can burn you alive. 4 wounds.
Oh, my goodness.
That take-
And he's dead.
Takes the chariot down. Awesome. So let's start at this side of the battlefield, the good side.
Good side.
We killed the chariot during the shooting phase of the fiery thing, and I was able to capture that command point this turn. I mercilessly murdered his war boss here with a whole bunch of hack and slash things. And then he ran down with the crushing stomps and the sharpened horn, the archers. Overkill. And then this happened. There was 10 Cyrus warriors right here that are now in a pile over in the corner. Their venom fangs do mortal wounds, and lots of them, especially when that's the general right there who gives them the ability to do so. So, fantastic. I lost an entire Cyrus warrior regiment.
4 plus save at the moment. Darn it. That might actually technically be legal in Age of Sigmar to have them piled up like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Is it legal?
Technically, bases don't matter, but everyone plays with bases because it just looks a lot more sane that way. But I think technically you can kind of crawl over other miniatures. I'm not really sure. It's weird.
Depends on whose miniatures they are.
Yeah. All right, we did check the rules. So you actually can't have models piled on top of each other. That is not legal in Age of Sigmar.
Shame on me.
I think so. You have 10 guys left there, and I've got 10 guys as well in the range, so no one captures that control point under that giant mess. But you have this control point for sure.
For sure.
So 1 more point for you. Ready? You always think it didn't go too well, and then you're like, well, it's a little bit below average. It's not terrible. 4 plus is the wound. 2 wounds. Alright, so we're looking for 5s and 6s?
Yep, basically.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4. They're dead. I see 5s and 6s already. All right, that's that fight.
And that was just the first roll. One.
Okay, he's dead. Junk.
Alright, General's club attack, 4 attacks, 3 plus. The hit. Okay, what a loser. Alright, that's it for... Oh no, I got my 4 plus jaw attack. Okay, he still sucks. Alright, that's no wounds from my General. Way to freaking go. Okay. Round 5. We're just going to call this one the last one. So let's roll to see who goes first. Really depends if your boss lives or dies. Oh, 6 on both of us. Okay.
We want it bad.
3? Oh, fudge. I see a bunch of spiders coming in at me.
By simply just moving.
So 10 inches. Because they're using their musician, who is not in this one. He's dead. Never mind then. So let's do the run rule the correct way. So 5 plus a d6. Ah, damn it. Okay, 7 inches. Four, 7, 9, 10 points for me. And then we've got 3, 5, 10 points. 10 to 10. That'd be an exact tie game.
Let's
Take a look at my 600-point army here. I have Finn, the Viking champion, Nilfheim, Sir Dendrick, the Knights of Weston, the Omicron Snipers, and Zetacron.
Okay, we got Torin and Estavara, some pretty powerful Utgar figures. Then we got some spiders, or they're called four-leg spiders. Doomtuff Guard. We got Isamu Ninja. We have a Wyvern, which is a kind of a poisonous dragon, as well as Sujoa, I believe it's called, just a huge insect that has a tremendous poison sting.
Four attack dice?
4 attack dice.
Ooh.
Not close.
Three.
Three hits.
What does Zetacron have? He has 4 defense, but only has 2 life, I think, so it's already not looking great for him. 2 defense. Alright, ready for initiative? Good. Nah, 8.
16.
Alright, go first. Three wounds.
Dang, he's rolling. So he got hit once.
1 damage.
Block something this time. Ah.
Block 1. Does that kill him?
Yep, that kills him. Poison and sting special attack. I just need 1. There's 1. $17.
You keep rolling till you fail then?
Basically. And I do.
fail.
So
But
3 hits.
still, that's 3 hits on a knight. And like, nope, he's dead. Sir Derek, wherever he is in the battlefield, just ran up to the giant hornet thing. 4 hits on the giant Wyvern thing with Sir whatever his face is.
That isn't slightly better than average.
3 wounds. I assume you're targeting the Sir Derek.
Sir Deneric, yep.
Sir Deneric. That sounds more epic than Sir Derek.
Oh, is it that? Oh no, that's right. Sir Deneric's someone else, right?
No, it's Sir Deneric.
Oh, it's Sir
I was calling him wrong. It's Sir Deneric. Whatever he is today. Every turn he's something different. One he's a robot, one he's a dragonfly, one he's a hornet. Well, Raylan would have been awesome, but, you know. 3 more wounds, he's down.
Boom!
Disgusting.
10.
You explode, your head explodes, so it's 4?
Yep, 4.
It'd be fun to actually find what his actual card says, instead of just some random Android app.
I have to look at it.
So 3 takes 3 hits, he's still alive. Okay.
2
2
hits.
hits, uh-oh, that's not good. He's dead.
Yes! Killed the dragon.
Darn it! One shot. First shot to the insect. Nothing. Second loser. Nothing. I should call him loser after the shoot, not before the shoot. That's probably part of the problem.
Boom.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. I think Ryan's pretty much won
All
this
right,
one.
there were our battle reports. Now we're going to go kind of section by section here, talking about how we compare Age of Sigmar with Heroscape. I'm going to go first, give my reasons for why, what I think about it, then I'll give my score, and Ryan will do the same thing. So first up, we have overall component quality. This is basically the quality of miniatures, books, the terrain, everything, the overall look of everything in the game. And this is Age of Sigmar, brand new Games Workshop, top of the line, best miniatures in the basically the world, arguably the best books in the world, highest quality, pretty much everything versus 10-year-old Hasbro stuff. This is 5-0 Age of Sigmar. The stuff that Hasbro created 10 years ago, cannot compete at any level with Age of Sigmar. The figures are infinitely better in Age of Sigmar. The new ones are insanely, amazingly posed. That just because the plastic molding technology has come so far in 10 years, primarily thanks to Games Workshop, that the figures are just amazing what they can do now. The rule books are nice hardcover filled with tons of backstory, tons of fiction, beautiful photos, beautiful artwork. So yeah, it's literally just no comparison in this regard for me. The one thing that Heroscape does have is pre-painted miniatures, pre-assembled pre-painted miniatures, which chances are, which may appeal to you, but you know, it's a choice. You know, it's Games Workshop obviously considers that to be part of their product line. So if you care about pre-painted miniatures and really think that's awesome and don't like to build your own miniatures, you probably wouldn't play Age of Sigmar in the first place anyway. So, Ryan.
Okay, well, in this and most of these, I'm actually very mixed when it comes to these, but and any decision has usually a slight edge for one or the other. So for this, the overall component quality, miniatures, books, terrains, etc., I gave Heroscape just a slight point more than Age of Sigmar, partially because I love Heroscape.
So 3-2 Heroscape?
Yep.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why, I imagine Age of Sigmar, that's not the only rule book, right?
There's 2 or 3 of them out right now, but they're going to have more of them coming out.
Okay, if you want to understand a game well, I mean, I particularly like to read a rule book as quickly as possible and then get to playing the game. And I understand, like, that's not all rules. That's a lot of story,
Yeah.
a lot of fluff stuff. But these are all. This is every single Heroscape. Basically, guides, expansion sets, whatever you got, whatever rule book you have from Heroscape, here it is. That's how thin it is. See it? See it? See? And then then some. That's one thing I like about Heroscape is that, I mean, it doesn't really change. And, I mean, just because Heroscape is basically dead, you know, and it's an old game, it doesn't mean that that they aren't expanding the rules. They're expanding the rules all the time with different versions, be it be in the comic book universe or the regular old Heroscape universe. They make custom figures.
The
for
community.
this.
You're talking about the people, the players.
The whole
okay,
Heroscape community, yeah. So I mean, they're keeping it alive as best they can. So just the fact that Heroscape is such a universe to where any creature or hero imaginable can come to this place to do battle, it provides an endless possibility to do custom minifigs for people who want to build a minifigure and paint them, or even repaint some of the old ones. I mean, there's a possibility for that too. So that, and also you just cannot. You can't get past the fact that the Heroscape hex tiles are some of the best playable things you can put on the battlefield, and it's easy to set up and play, and it's virtually endless possibilities of what you can create. If you have, the lava, ice, you have great mountains, forest, or whatever. I mean, bar none, that stuff is the best stuff out there. My only wish is they had more, stuff. They have a lot of stuff where it provides endless possibilities, and they are. I think there's other developers trying to make more similar hex style stuff to make addition with those hex tiles, but you can't beat those. I haven't seen any tabletop game to come close since Heroscape came out. So based on that, that's why I give Heroscape the edge.
I would wonder with the hex tiles if Wizards of the Coast has a patent on them. They might, and that's maybe why you haven't seen anyone else do quite that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
I have to look into that.
I know I've seen one startup company do a Kickstarter for hex tiles, but they weren't called Heroscape hex tiles. They were made a little bit different, but they were made so you could attach them to Heroscape hex tiles.
Yes, I remember that Kickstarter.
Yes. So
did that one succeed or not?
I don't think it succeeded. I mean, they were asking for a lot.
Plastic stuff is expensive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So, I mean, I'm sure they're still, even though they failed, I'm sure they're still continuing as best as they can, and probably will do other Kickstarters in the future. But yeah, that stuff is just, I honestly wish they could make more, because mine are breaking like crazy.
The one thing I will say, the actual rules for Age of Sigmar are 4 pages long, and the only other rules in here are equivalent to the Heroscape stat cards, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is that they're full page things instead of little hex things.
And technically the rules in here are about less than 4 pages long too.
A little more than that. They're also a little bit more well explained.
Yeah, they're
4 pages of rules
things,
of
yes.
Age of Sigmar
Yes.
is not exactly the most well planned out, thought out thing.
I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute.
All right,
too, so.
Movement. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, let me say one thing quickly. One thing that is missing from this review sheet is story and universe and theme, mainly because I really don't know what's going on in Age of Sigmar yet. It's still brand new. I honestly haven't taken the time to sit down and read through it, so that's why I don't think I can do a fair comparison between the two right now.
Yeah, I would have blown that out of the water.
It's a little, Age of Sigmar is a little weird, especially if you're an old school Warhammer Fantasy person. These are space dragons. That's all you need to know, space dragons. Okay, next up, movement rules and tactics. So this is including how the battlefield affects movement, how you fight, how all this, everything to do with movement. So for me, both Age of Sigmar and Heroscape have both very simple movement systems. They each have a limited number of terrain effects. Age of Sigmar's got some random special terrain tables, some which affect movement, some don't. Heroscape's got its simple elevation system. So very simple all around. The one thing I think that differentiates Heroscape in this case, actually let me say before I get to that, one thing difference is Age of Sigmar is kind of like blobs moving around. It's literally like two giant blobs smashing into each other and rolling dice. So all the stuff that made Warhammer Fantasy 8th Edition tactical with facing and wheeling and flanking and stuff, that's all gone. Whereas in Heroscape, granted it's a skirmish level game, but the fact that you have individual figures, position still does kind of matter.
Yeah.
Special abilities require them to be right next to each other, and precision placement is important in that case. If you're one space away, you're kind of screwed.
Yep.
Leaving an engagement attacks where you can't necessarily back away with somebody without risk. So there is a little bit more to Heroscape's tactics than I think Age of Sigmar at the moment, but things could change. But for that reason, Heroscape got a 3, Age of Sigmar got a 2 in this case. Ryan?
Yeah, and that basically was the same count that I gave it to. I was very surprised by Age of Sigmar. In a few aspects, and this was one of them. I really liked how the movement rules and tactics were very easy for me to follow, because I love for that. As easy as possible is good for me. And the more complicated it is, the more my head starts hurting. But the one reason why Heroscape gave it that slight edge was for the fact that it's like when we got down to the very end of our huge battle. For Age of Sigmar, I noticed that sometimes our movement, it was based on just our preference rather than actual accurate spacing. There was a little to that, but it's just like, okay, whatever, we'll just pile these on. And Heroscape, you can't do that.
No.
You have to stick to where they are in the hex tile, and that's where they have to be, and then you have to go accordingly. So that's one of the reasons why I think Heroscape has that edge.
Because there is in Age of Sigmar a bit of there is some specifics to the movement. When you charge in, you move exactly so many inches. When you do what's called a pile-in movement during combat, you move 3 inches. But doing that again and again and again for 20 models does get a little tedious. And trying to do like a 3-inch kind of curved path to flank around people, it's definitely a lot more tedious than, say, Warhammer Fantasy was, or even 40K, where it is a little bit just more throw blobs together. But, Okay, so we actually agree with that one. Combat rules and tactics. Same thing about how Battlefield affects combat, how the rules work, everything to do with combat here. Once again, both systems are fairly simple. They're different dice, a little bit different probabilities, but in the end, it's just math. It works out to, whatever it may be. Both use lots of dice, so you can get very wild swings in probability, so it's not like super predictable what's going to happen in either case. The thing that I liked a little bit better about Age of Sigmar than Heroscape, assuming we're playing it right, I think we are, is that in Age of Sigmar you can move, shoot, and then charge into combat. It's one extra little thing you can do that you really can't do in Heroscape, and just for that reason alone, I gave it a 3-2. Also, I should add, there are a little bit of terrain effects in both games. They're different, but the terrain does have mild effects to how combat works.
This was kind of tough for me when I was going through it, because it's just like, there were a lot of things I liked about Age of Sigmar, but for me, I think Heroscape again got that 1 point edge of 3, just because it just seems like the combat rules and tactics are more, just that bit more structured. They're both like, sometimes it comes down to what type of dice you roll. And maybe for Heroscape more so. But I don't know, I just felt like Heroscape still has a little bit more balance than what Age of Sigmar does. Although I will have to say, it was tough to call. Because...
Yes, I did too, yeah.
Because, it was, again, something that, and for me, what's important is, it's like, okay, am I going to be able to understand this right away within, like, going through a game, since I'm a person that's just getting into it and just started playing it. And, for me, it was very easy to start playing into. And do you think that might be one of the reasons why they tried revamping things, to say, let's try and make things a little less complicated for a person who's never done it before?
Yes, that's one of the reasons people think. Games Workshop has never really said per se, but we can take guesses, and that's one of the 3 things that they think reasons they did.
And if that's the case, for that aspect, I don't know how many regular players would, but I would applaud them for that if they're looking to try and invite new players, just as long as you don't get rid of your old audience,
Too late, man. They're long out the door, trust me. We'll talk about that later, but their old audience is long gone.
Oh boy. But so I understand, then I would understand why, if that's what they're doing, why they're doing that. Because it is. It makes it a bit more simple to play and easier to understand. But still, Heroscape has that edge.
And just along those lines, unrelated to all this stuff, as with most Games Workshop starter sets, the figures still require assembly, but they're easier to assemble than the mainline Games Workshop stuff. I'm pretty sure that's the case with these as well. But okay, so let's move on to the next one. Army list construction and tactics. This is all about how you build your army and how tactical do you think that plays into the game. Looking at your sheet, we're quite different here.
Okay.
So one of the biggest complaints about Age of Sigmar that I'm sure everyone knows about is there is no balance, no army construction rules. You literally put down whatever models you want. The way we were playing is literally a way that people have tried to add balance to the game, where you build so many wounds into your army list. That's literally not in the rule book. And the problem is that's not balanced.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not that the balance sucks. There is no balance. Games Workshop intentionally did not try to make balanced army construction rules. They're just not there. Now, that being said, if you can get around that, and you can work with your opponent to do fun, but varies in balance, very much so. There is none. That being said, though, there is synergy in Age of Sigmar. A lot of the units benefit with people next to them, and there are formation. What do they call them? There's some battalions that are basically where you take multiple units together and they all get bonuses. There's some synergy aspects going on to Age of Sigmar. Actually, there's actually quite a bit of that. Mm-hmm. But for me, Age of Sigmar 1, Heroscape 4.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, actually, this one, when I was going through the numbers here, I left this one blank until the very end because I was just like, I love Heroscape. Don't get me wrong. The army-less construction and the tactics are just incredible. But when comparing to the two, again, I'm approaching it as a new gamer and approaching this game. And for me, it was very fun, and it was still very easy for me to understand how to do them. And mm-hmm. It came to where it's like you were destroying me, and then we were almost within a tie. Which I think, and if it was made differently, I don't think I would have been able to come back from that.
Yes.
As well as I did. So it was easy for me to just like, okay, I have my favorite play. I just keep on doing that. I pass down the center of the end zone, get the Hail Mary pass and catch and score. I'm a Packer fan. No one's going to understand that because it's going to be a few weeks later. It's just, for me, Age of Sigmar just gets that little bit of edge. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it a lot. So, Heroscape is great for that. I love it. But for me, like I said, it's just, in my opinion, Age of Sigmar just gets a little bit of that edge.
So 3-2 Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also just like to add, Heroscape does have plenty of synergy to its army construction. There's all sorts of units benefit each other, make things more efficient, et cetera, et cetera. So that's very much part of Heroscape as well.
Absolutely, no disagreement there.
All right, next up, melee/match battles. This is where you fight battles where pretty much you're trying to kill the other person. There's no real point to it other than just massive slaughter. For me, once again, this comes down to there's no balance in Age of Sigmar. And the reason that's a problem is you can't do something where you say bring so many points, show up, and just fight it out. And sure, you can work it out with your opponent. Different communities will try different things. And honestly, in the end, I think that's worse for the game in the long run. Because it's probably going to end up being where you literally can't go from like a game store to a friend's house and play the game the exact same way. Because they're going to have different ways to build your army. It's going to interpret things differently.
More confusion.
Yeah, it's going to be more confusion. And the fact that you literally got to sit down and try to figure out what balance might be, and maybe you're right, maybe you're not. When we tried to figure out, what maybe balance might be, Ryan pulled out 20 or 18 Spider Riders with the Goblin Big Boss guy and just destroyed everything, and nothing I could do to stop it. So for that reason, I went Age of Sigmar 1, Heroscape 4. Heroscape has their nice point system. There's some balance issues in Heroscape. There's balance issues in every game. It's not like that's a big deal, but Hasbro tried. And they did a fairly decent job of it. Maybe because the probability is so off the wall, but still it still works out pretty good.
Yes.
And the important part is they tried, and you can actually have really good tournament style combat and games in Heroscape.
Yeah, well, and Jason's last thing for army-less construction and tactics, I pointed to him that I wrote down, and this was like a few days ago actually, I wrote this down, that it's fun, but it varies in the balance. And I feel the same way about this too. I did notice that for Age of Sigmar. But still, I still gave it that edge just because it was so fun to send a horde of spiders straight through Jason's army and kill his huge elephant creature and just...
Take it on.
Whatever.
An elephant.
And totally, it looks like an elephant from Lord of the Rings. Okay, I'm sorry, it does. I mean, it's got a house on top of its back.
It's
for crying
kind
out
of got that giant monster ridden thing. Yes, it's got that same.
But yeah, okay, it's got the tusks. Yeah, okay, it looks like a dinosaur.
There actually is a model for that Games Workshop made for the elephants from Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
like this tall. It's
Oh,
literally about a
wow.
foot tall. It's freaking amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're long out of production, but they're awesome.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, so I just had to give it that edge for Age of Sigmar 3 and Heroscape 2, just because it was so darn fun. And a matter of fact, I like and now we're giving away the timeline, but after we finished that game.
Oh, I don't care
Yeah.
to give away time.
Oh yeah. Okay. When we played that game, it was from a few nights ago.
Age of Sigmar game, right?
Yeah, the Age of Sigmar game. And like I was like questioning myself on the drive home, like, I mean, did we just read the rule book wrong? Because there's no way those spiders could have been that powerful. And I'm just like, is that game really that out of balance to where, these spiders like wreak havoc like that crazy? Because honestly, if I'd be playing the game for sport, I would just use them every time practically, because you'd win it.
Yeah, those spiders, when they're combined with their goblin big boss giant spider dude, can get really, really messy.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the forest goblin spider riders with the forest goblin big boss on a gigantic spider. And what they do,
it's ridiculous.
they have a poison ability that lets them cause mortal wounds, who gets through armor and kills guys really fast. And their big guy can basically make that poison ability occur twice as frequent as it normally would. And it's really messy. That's really a side effect of blob combat.
Yeah.
Because in Warhammer Fantasy, there was a similar ability. Those guys, it wasn't quite as powerful, but the way the game was structured, there was a lot fewer attacks when two giant blocks came together. So you rolled a lot fewer dice than you do in Age of Sigmar. So even though you had that really powerful ability, it wouldn't score as many hits, and not as many guys on the other side would die, and they'd still get a chance to fight back. Plus, with Warhammer Fantasy, you had to be in a nice big rectangle with those guys, and a giant, like 18 guys of those in a block would be very unwieldy in the battlefield. You would never see a formation that big because you wouldn't be able to move it around very efficiently. Whereas Age of Sigmar, you can move it around a lot more efficiently. So it's one of the weird things that occurred because of the transition of the new rules.
Yeah, and in contrast too, I mean, even though I gave Age of Sigmar this edge, in contrast, you have. It's funny, I defeated you with spiders both times.
Yes.
You could see how more balanced the spiders that were in Heroscape were in comparison. And even though they were allowed to swarm, it wasn't like it was a complete bloodbath. You still were able to get some shots off of them, though they still decimated. But I don't know. For me, it was about the fun factor, and just seeing those spiders just like decimate everybody. I mean, for me, was fun. No, not very well balanced, but it certainly was fun for being the first try.
All right, so next up, scenario-based battles. Pretty much everything that's not just battle to the death. Both Age of Sigmar and Heroscape are tabletop miniature games. They're both very flexible. You can do a lot with either one of them in terms of customizing how your scenario goes, what your victory conditions are, special units, special terrain, whatever. Both of them are very flexible and are really on par with each other in that regard. For me, Age of Sigmar did have an advantage. One, because there's a lot more miniatures on the table. And you just get a more epic feel when you want to have big scenarios. You really can't do with Heroscape just because it's designed to be fewer miniatures on the table. And also, I think the order system of Heroscape holds it back in this regard, because that's one of the balancing factors they put into the game. But when you have a huge Heroscape army, what tends to happen is you have a few all-star units who do things again and again and again, while most of the guys sit back in the corner picking their nose. So that kind of situation where you have your A team and then you have your B team chilling in the background doesn't exactly add up to be awesome scenario material. Whereas Age of Sigmar says every guy moves every turn and fights in combat every turn, stuff like that. You get a lot more flexibility for creating really cool epic scenarios. So 3-2 Age of Sigmar.
Okay, and now I'm my opinion with this, and I'm just going to counter what you said, because a real simple way, because I've done this before in other tabletop battlefield episodes, to where I've had like huge epic army versus army scenario, you add more number counters
You
to
can,
the cards,
but-
and that gives you more chance to use more characters in the field if you have more. But you want to say something?
Well, keep going with your thing.
Okay, but with that being said, scenario-based battles, I mean, I made a show from the Heroscape universe based off the fact that you can virtually invent any type of scenario for Heroscape and turn it into a storyline. So I'm so giving this to Heroscape 4-1. Not only based on that, but just for that there is endless possibilities, not only within the regular Heroscape characters that you have, but from what the Heroscape community has made custom-wise, it's just, I mean, you have endless possibilities for this. I would say, though, for one thing, and this is why Age of Sigmar gets a 1, is that Tales of Valhalla is based just in one planet. So there are some restrictions for, it's like they don't have a whole universe to fight in. It is just on one planet, so you are a little bit limited in that. So that would be the reason why I gave Age of Sigmar 1 point, just because acknowledging, yes, they do have an expanded universe and stuff, and I acknowledge it. But I don't know, I love Heroscape so much better.
Age of Sigmar has 8 mortal realms, whatever the heck that means. I have no clue. So there's technically 8 different regions. I don't know. It doesn't make any damn sense. Okay.
Exactly. Heroscape makes sense.
So the one thing I was going to say, counter that is, in our battle report we just did, you had 2 guys sitting in the back corner doing absolutely nothing the entire battle. So,
Yep.
you can easily, even though we had double the number of order tokens. And you can't play 100-figure Heroscape game. You could try it, but it's horrific to manage that. You can easily do 300 miniatures in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, it would take, acknowledging that, yes, it would take forever, but really, 100, whew. Yeah, I would imagine more like 25 figures against 25 figures is like, or 25 figures or squads against 25 figures in squads. That's basically an army in Heroscape standards. So that's what I would be thinking. Matter of fact, I have that in my show. Shameless self-promotion.
All right, replayability. How much variety is there between games? Once again, I think they're pretty much on par with each other in almost every regard. They're tabletop miniatures games, lots of customability, lots of do whatever the heck you feel like doing. There aren't really many restrictions game-wise. I think for me, going back to the game balance thing, which takes out a lot of the tournament-style action for Age of Sigmar, I went with Heroscape 3-2.
And for me, it was the same.
Same?
Yes. I mean, and the only reason why it wasn't like Heroscape 5 or Age of Sigmar 0, because I did enjoy playing it. I mean, and it's a game. It's just like, well, I mean, if it was offered in front of me again, and I had the spiders, I wouldn't mind playing through it again, because there was some things like when I started in that big battle for Age of Sigmar, that if I was able to do it over again, I would have done some things differently to try and control more spots more effectively, based on what I did, because I didn't understand the tactics of what I had in front of me. So yeah, I mean, that's why I gave it a 2, because of the fact that I did enjoy it.
So finally, overall fun factor, will you play the game again? And I mean, I love Heroscape. I would play Age of Sigmar again, certainly. With the right group of people in the right setting, it can be a heck of a lot of fun. It really can. But I think it's not the game. Age of Sigmar is not the game that a lot of people want it to be. And they're going to try to shoehorn into tournament systems. They're going to try and make it do this and do that. And it's not Warhammer Fantasy. And people want it to be the old Warhammer Fantasy. And it's just... So... so you kind of cutting out the fact there really isn't a competitive scene, and at least unless Games Workshop does something different, there never will be. And frankly, Games Workshop is not like competitive play. They have said that again, and you can actually find Jervis Johnson, who's one of the lead designers of Games Workshop. There's an article floating around the internet where he basically rags on why you should never play Warhammer 40,000 in a competitive format. They do not endorse this kind of a thing. They don't want you to play it that way. It's their product. They can do what you want. And knowing that going into Age of Sigmar, there's a lot of people who play these games very competitively, even if you're trying to play a fun scenario. And
So you don't play to win then?
well, no, you can still play to win, but I mean competitively in the sense that there's a tournament scene. Obviously, you play Age of Sigmar, you play a game usually to win. If you want to win, obviously have fun, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But you don't intentionally lose the game. Is what I'm trying to say. You can't really take Age of Sigmar seriously and competitively just because it's impossible to get a balanced starting point. So if you try to be very serious about it and want to have a competitive attitude, very likely either you're not going to have fun or also your opponent's not going to have a lot of fun because you can't play this game competitively. And just for that one reason alone, I gave Heroscape the edge 3-2.
Okay. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention too about the rulebooks. Jason, the cost of that rulebook was $50, right?
Yes.
The cost of all these rulebooks, not so much. All of them.
The minimum cost of Age of Sigmar, free. No, you don't have to. The rules, and you can still find a lot of the data sheets online for free. Games Workshop did intentionally release them.
Ditto.
Same with that.
Yep. Oh yeah, you can find these rulebooks online if you look hard enough.
Released by the company?
Released by the company?
Yeah.
The company doesn't have anything on their website.
Oh, really?
They've totally deleted everything.
So it's all after, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. It's all like through Heroscapers or whatever, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they have downloadable PDF things not only for these rulebooks, but for rulebooks of their expanded universe. I mean, it's all there, including I love this map in there. It's a wonderful map of Valhalla.
Oh, that's where that map came from.
Yep.
Where is that from?
I'd pull it off from online.
Oh, okay. It's not in one of the books.
No, it's not in one of the rule books.
Was it actually made by Hasbro?
I'm pretty sure. Because I mean, look, you see, you get that's Utgar right there.
Oh, what do you know? He's a weird-looking guy. I guess that's what I expect him to look like. Cool.
So yeah.
Anyway, so your overall fun factor.
This is in Tales of Valhalla, by the way. In like 3D format, you get to see it like, yeah. Okay. Anyway. Overall fun factor. Well, when the question was asked to me, will you play the game again? I decided to base, that's what my decision was based on. And for Age of Sigmar, I gave it a 1 just because I did like it. I wouldn't mind playing it again, but I wouldn't buy it. I don't think for me it'd just be too time consuming and it too expensive. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun, and I mean, just browsing the rulebook, there is a lot of detail, a lot of stories and stuff, but it's just like, what's the point? And how I feel about Heroscape, which gets a 4. Will I play the game again? Yes, all the time until I die, basically, is what I say. Just because Heroscape's awesome, always awesome.
That's
So yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say for that.
Okay, well, let's add up our totals here. That's the Age of Sigmar. So, Age of Sigmar 35, Heroscape 45, which that's not too far off. We've seen a lot worse landslides with certain games and things in the past, especially with certain reviews. Zombies.
I didn't hear anything like that.
I don't remember what game that was. can't even tell you the name of that game.
Zombies?
I think no, not Oz. That was the card game that we didn't play test at all. The zombie one. But anyway, don't worry about the zombie one. Don't worry about it.
But we had a good intro for that.
We did.
That intro was one of the best intros ever. One
so
of the worst
fun.
games we ever reviewed. That's why the episode's awesome, by the way.
Yes. And then you got to watch one of the Christmas episodes where we do all the outtakes and have all of our weird alternate endings, the final charge scene. All of us.
We always have to reminisce,
Yes,
every year.
we do. So we've been going on for a heck of a long time now. We're probably at well over an hour, but hey,
Oh,
we
boy.
do this once a year. Who cares? Ryan's wife's gonna
My
tick
wife
off.
cares.
But whatever. Any last things you want to say here before we sign off for probably another year?
We just look forward to making seasons 2 and 3 for Tales of Hella in the next 2 to 3 years. So I got a lot my work cut out for me. But for others of you guys there, if you want to see any of you like diehard Heroscapers or just really miniature wargaming in general, if you've ever, I don't think they do stop motion much for really any miniature war game.
Not a lot.
No.
Many wargaming guys did a joke Warhammer 40k thing, same vein as what you do with Heroscape. Not quite as cinematic in how you approached it, but in the same kind of their parody of 40k, Captain Slaughter or something like that. And reject. It's actually kind of funny like 40k. It's all 40k jokes. You gotta know the game. But yeah.
Yeah, so for people out there who've always think, okay, what would this creature kind of do or imagine it do if it was be able to move on its own and talk and think, for itself?
Decaffeinated Maros.
Decapitate Maros and stuff.
No, and caffeinated. They're all they're twitchy.
Oh, well, that's why I always imagined them to be. So, and it's basically...
I always imagine them to be crazy evil demons, but whatever.
It's just universe based on my perspective. And, that's just how I see it. If anybody out there watches it and thinks, oh, that should have been done differently, well, go do it yourself. And I can't wait to watch it.
That's a way to do things. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a approach you can take.
But one thing I got to ask Jason, because I haven't really heard you, we did do a premiere for the Tales of
Yes.
Valhalla, all 10 episodes, a few weeks back. This is for everybody who, I had about 20 or so voice actors help, and Jason was one of them, as well as others. And I hadn't really heard your opinion or your viewpoint on what you saw. So before we finish, I just want to get your take on what Tales of Valhalla was and what it meant for you.
I was really impressed with the cinematography of it. The way you integrated actual live action techniques in terms of depth of field, the motion camera, some of the moving camera stuff. That was very well done, and all done in stop motion. That
It was nuts.
Yeah, that had to be insanely crazy to try to do. I did stop motion years ago, and I would never be able to do that. I would kill myself before I did that kind of stuff. I just no.
Nearly did, yeah. And for me, it was basically on the seat of my pants because I've never done something like that before. It was basically, okay, I'm going to do this and see how it goes. And I just, anybody out there who's looking to do that type of thing, watch a lot of instructional videos. And when you think you know everything, still watch a lot of instructional videos, even while you're doing it. You really have to educate yourself and continue educating yourself in this because, I look at the 10 episodes and they're better than what I thought they were going to be. Personally. But I know it's just, I see them there's some things that could have been so much better. Just that little tweak that could have made it a little bit more better. So it's for me, it's a learning experience and just, continue to go into the next 2 seasons and see what happens. So that's cool. What about the storyline aspect?
It definitely is funny. There's definitely some good funny parts in there. I wonder if there's some jokes I'll ask you off camera if you change some of the lines because of some of my disturbing references I thought you were making. But maybe.
There's a lot of inside jokes.
I wasn't too sure of some of the things. I do think it takes a few episodes to get into the story, but once you get started with what's going on and the humor, it definitely is really enjoyable. But each episode's 3 or 4 minutes long-ish, so it doesn't take long to get to that point.
No,
but
yeah.
So yeah, I think it was fun to watch, and it was fun to be part of and see kind of how you were doing things. I like asking you questions about your workflow and stuff. And but yeah, so anyway, I guess that So for me, I'm still going to be working on Legends of Kaladeshi. You can head over to kaladeshi.com, sign up to the email mailing list. We have a Facebook page, etc., etc. Also, I've started doing live art streams on twitch.tv where I'm working on the art for Kaladeshi. And unlike a lot of the artists on there, I'm actually doing tutorials about how you use the GIMP image editing software to do some pretty good, it's kind of neat stuff. I mean, if you like this kind of artwork, what I'm trying to do, you can show you how to do some of the more sci-fi-ish texturing and applying lighting effects, things like that, if you're looking for that kind of stuff. And those are also on the Legends of Kaladeshi YouTube channel. So with that,
one more thing.
I
just want to say, Tales of Valhalla.
Okay.
I know you're gonna have them on score notes, but also My Week in 8 Minutes. If you want to see anything via Tales of Valhalla related, I have like Instagram for Conductor Productions, which will show like
send me all those links.
photos. Yeah, I'll send you a link. As well as My Week in 8 Minutes, which is basically Conductor Productions for Twitter, as well as I just recently got a Twitch account. So probably next year, I might do live streams of when I'm doing like stop motion or something during the middle of the night. If I'm I usually do it. It's like there were a lot of late, endless nights for like 3 or 4 nights out of the week. So, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come. So yeah, I'll probably be doing a lot of those live streaming stuff. And there's a lot of production diaries too. It's cool for the fact that it's like I always like to be very detail oriented. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's going to be on Tales of Valhalla YouTube page as well. So yeah, just go and look that. Support me even if you don't like it. Support me still. Just by watching it'd be great.
And, you know, I
am not ashamed.
But I mean, you have to do this. I mean, seriously, the hardest thing with creating something new is promotion.
Yep.
And everything else around it. The tools for creating stuff, whatever it is, whether it's a movie, a tabletop game, whatever it may be, are getting cheaper and more accessible every day, and they're easier to use to do cool stuff.
It makes things a lot more
but
fun.
Everything else around it has not really changed. It's still hard to promote. It's still hard to get noticed. It's still hard to, make people care about something new.
We're out here.
It's funny. I'm laughing because I have to do that too at Legends of Kaladeshi and promote the heck out of it, and it's just funny because it's what you got to do.
We end up being the ones watching our own stuff, basically. It's like
much.
I'm watching Jason's stuff, he's watching my stuff.
And hopefully we get a few other people to do it as well, because there's not a lot of money being made between just us two. So
I'll give you $1, you give me $1 back. There you go.
Zero-sum games always suck.
Oh, by the way, there's a night scene in Tales of Valhalla too, where the night backdrop is something that Jason did make.
Oh, yes.
And I thank Jason for that as well.
And that actually was an old Legends of Kaladeshi product. We don't sell anymore, but we sell something a lot cooler. It's a hand-painted space battle map. You can buy those also on kaladeshi.com.
Again, shameless self-promotion.
And they work with other games like X-Wing, Armada, etc., etc.
And works very well with stop motion too. I've noticed
Not
that.
the new ones though. The new ones
the
are
new ones?
the new ones are the vinyl maps, which would make lights glow like
the
crazy.
shine, okay.
I do actually have some of those felt ones left. If someone actually wants the felt maps he's talking about, just let me know. I
Email
still
him.
have them somewhere around here.
Because they're really good. I mean, it provides. I was shocked when I saw like the footage of just like wow, that actually looks like a starry night. It was great.
So all right, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you sometime in 2016 on the Tabletop Battlefield.